Hello, Jen. Hello, Jen. I just thought I'd make another video for you because I thought of some more things that I wanted to tell you, and I know that you said that you would like to see some tapping on some of these Mr. Rogers record jackets that I own, so I figured I would do some tracing. I'm trying to tap louder so you can possibly hear what I'm doing here. But anyway, I thought I would dive deep into how my anxiety began and where it all started, or when it all started. And I've actually had anxiety issues since I was a very young child. And I mean, I was less than 3 years old, and apparently, in this first instance, or incident, I should say, I was, uh, I was probably a toddler. Well, I know 3 years old is still considered to be toddler age, but I was younger than that, and apparently I was still sleeping in a crib. But apparently this was at night time, and from if I recall correctly, and I hope you'll forgive me because I don't really remember events from that age. But anyway, apparently I thought I saw this heart-shaped, red heart-shaped object with on the wall with a a white circle or oval towards the bottom, and I woke up and saw this thing on the apparently on the wall, and I was crying, and apparently my mom came in, and I said night night on the wall, and apparently she didn't know what I was talking about, but apparently she figured it out and took the object down and apparently threw it away so that it wouldn't scare me anymore. But apparently, that's one of the first things that I remember. And the second thing I want to talk about in reference to my anxiety is when my parents took me to, uh, I don't know, check out the elementary school that I would be attending for my junior kindergarten class, as it was called at the time. Now it's called pre-kindergarten. But anyway, they took me to the school and uh, dropped me off into the classroom that I would be attending, and left me there. And and I was left in there with all of these people whom I did not know. Apparently, I was crying, and I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that those people just looked at me. I don't remember any of them attempting to console me at all. But that was not a very good experience. And now I'm going to go into a bit once that school year had started. And this was 1990 to 1991. It's the year I was 5 years old. The school year, anyway. And anyway, my mother would look after a neighbor's daughter before school for a while. She did this for a while. And one day, the neighbor's daughter had a stomach virus and was vomiting, and her mother lied to my mother and swore up and down that her daughter was not sick when it was obviously crystal clear that she was, and I caught the stomach virus from her and vomited several times. From what I recall, I also had some mild diarrhea, but I mainly vomited and apparently did so several times. And my mom would put beach towels on my bed for me to vomit onto. But anyway, long story short, my mother caught the virus from me from having to clean up after me. And she had it much worse than I did. She had severe vomiting and severe diarrhea. And from what I remember, she made this god awful retching noise that scared the living daylights out of me. And I would lie outside the bathroom crying for having to listen to her retch. And at one point, she called my father, my dad, who was at work, and told him that he needed to come home and to take care of me because she was too sick to take care of me. So he never got sick or had diarrhea. But apparently he came straight home and got right into bed. So that's what happened in that incident, or during that incident that I just talked about. And that made me really, really scared to, to listen to my mom throw up, which was actually made worse when she was pregnant with my sister and had morning sickness, and I would have to listen to her vomit again and again, and It scared me to death. Ever since then, whenever she said that her stomach didn't feel well, I would instantly have panic attacks. Uh, I also remember that uh, I also hated fire drills in school because the fire alarms were so loud. And another condition that I have is that I startle very easily, and I do not like sudden loud sounds. And a lot of the time, fire drills were unannounced, and the alarms would startle me. Uh, I remember one morning when I was in first grade, I just gotten to school, and the instructional aide who helped me get to my classroom uh, told the teacher that we were probably going to have a fire drill, and I can just remember sitting at my little desk and my legs shaking uncontrollably. Uh, well, skip a couple of years later, of school years later, I was in third grade at this point, and I would hate to know that the school bus would be late in the afternoons, and because somehow, and this seems ridiculous to me now, but back then, my 9-year old brain would latch on to the idea that I had somehow missed the bus and would not uh, get to go home, and I would just start bawling my eyes out because I was afraid of that. And this continued into well into the following school year. Um, when it would often be announced that my school bus would be late in the afternoons, and by this time I had switched from riding a handicapped bus or special needs school bus to a full size school bus with lots of other students, and it would be announced that the school bus would be late in the afternoon, and I would just burst into tears, sobbing and boo-hooing because somehow my brain latched on to the idea that I had somehow missed the school bus, but I obviously hadn't, because uh, all the other students were there waiting. But I'll just say that back then I was a very sensitive child and would start crying at the drop of a hat over seemingly nothing. But yeah, I have had anxiety issues since I was a small child, and before I upload this video, I want to record, or yeah, I think I'll record some footage of my family's younger cat, Lucy, 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 because she really helps me with my anxiety issues. She seems to love me as much as I love her, and she and I are literally the very best of friends. So you will see footage of her next. This is my family's younger cat, Lucy, and she and I are our very best friends, and we've had her for about 4 years now. Pardon me. She's around 4 years old. This footage was taken a couple of years ago, and Lucy still looks like this, but she's a little bigger now. And I'd like to point out that, as you can see, the brown area near the left side of her nose is a marking. There's nothing wrong with her nose at all. But she is one of the sweetest and most affectionate cats that I have ever known. And she and I have a bond that is very, very strong. She seems to love me as much as I love her, and I love her more than life itself, honestly. She does she does wonders for my mental health, and honestly, just thinking about her helps me to calm down. And yes, there is a Mr. Rogers picture in the background. Hello, Jen, I'm back. I'd like to say one more thing as I end this video, and that is that I'm really sorry for worrying about you as much as I do, but it's just that since you have your own issues with depression, anxiety, and insomnia, that I often worry or wonder, or actually both, if you're okay. And quite honestly, I'm often relieved when I see a new video upload from you. You're a really great person, as I've said, and in future videos I think I'll show other records from other artists that I have in my large record collection, including records by Bing Crosby. If you've never heard of him, he made the song White Christmas famous, and he had a very rich baritone. Well, he was a baritone, but he had a very rich singing voice, and he was an extremely famous entertainer, actor, comedian, businessman, etc. And in terms of his total record sales, which are estimated to be over 1 billion records sold, he is actually the most famous recording artist ever. I also own soundtracks, including several copies on record of the soundtrack from my absolute favorite movie of all time, The Wizard of Oz, which I have loved ever since I was 5 years old. And I consider that to be the greatest movie that I have ever seen or watched. And I'll show those in the future video. But I'll talk to you later, Jen. Bye for now.